Welcome to the regular meeting of the Clearlake City Council and Redevelopment Successor Agency.
You might want to pull your mic a little closer.
Can't hear you. Oh,
Is it turned on?
it is turned on, yes. It's on.
No, it is.
On October 1st, 2020. Thank you all for viewing tonight's City Council meeting. I'd like to call this to order at 6:05. October 1st, 2020. As a reminder, you are on our Zoom meeting as a participant. Please put yourself on mute unless you're speaking. We are currently live streaming this meeting on the city's YouTube channel, the Lake County Tech TV live stream YouTube channel. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Purdock,
Here.
Councilmember Overton,
Here.
Councilmember Harris,
Here.
Vice Mayor Sluten,
Here.
Mayor Kramer.
Here. Okay, those present, please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Mayor Harris, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You all remain standing. Mr. Purdock, could you do the invocation?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Our dear Father in heaven, we come to you and plead that your spirit would be with us tonight, that you would help lead and direct us to do the good business of this city. Father, we ask that you would be with this community and those to the south who are struggling through wildfires yet again. We ask that you would provide a sense of calm and lessen those anxieties that we're all feeling. We ask that you would protect the firefighters and law enforcement, first responders who are there battling to save property and to save lives. Father, again, we just ask that your spirit would be with us tonight, and that we may do the good business of this city, keep people safe, to make this a better city to live in that is fiscally sound and responsible. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilmember Purdock. Okay, meeting procedures. Can you hear me all right now? We're operating under virtual meeting guidelines. I'll explain our meeting procedures. Agenda items will be open for public comment before final action is taken. Citizens wishing to comment on any agenda item should email the city clerk or submit their comments through our town hall portal. Comments received will be read aloud by either myself or a staff member during the agenda item. If public comment is received on an item not on the agenda within the jurisdiction of the city council, that comment will be read by the city clerk during public comment for up to 3 minutes. If a remote participant encounters technical difficulties, I'll ask that we continue discussing the item and the participant can rejoin when the technical difficulty is resolved. Again, if you are a participant who is not speaking, please mute your computer to prevent distractions from the current speaker. Okay, we'll move on to the adoption of the agenda. Are there any modifications?
No modifications.
Ready to accept the agenda now, Mr. Mayor?
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilmember Overton and seconded by Councilmember Purdock. We have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Purdock,
Aye.
Councilmember Harris,
Aye.
Councilmember Overton,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sluten,
Aye.
Mayor Kramer.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, at this time, we're going to do a presentation. Is retired planning commissioner being on
Yes,
our remote?
he is.
Are we going to show him? Can we look at him, or is it just?
Looks like he isn't on video, but he could.
I've asked him to start it.
All right, we'll see if he can do.
There he is.
There he is. So Richard, Richard,
Hello, everyone.
you look way too relaxed.
Uh,
Richard, I'm going to at this time present to you this plaque. It says Richard Dean, Planning Commission, March 12, 2017 through September 30th, 2020. In appreciation of the city of Clearlake. Richard, did you take my place? We couldn't remember.
Did I? Yeah, I don't remember.
None of us have. At any rate, your
Both you
service,
and both you and Dirk kind of left close to each other, so I don't know which
Yeah.
one of you.
well, it'll remain a mystery.
Yeah.
At any rate, Richard, we really appreciate your service to the city. You've always given it your all. And we really are hating to see you go, but I'm a little bit envious too, that you're going to be able to go out and do your traveling and enjoy your time from now on. So would you like to give us any comments this time?
I would. I just want to thank you all for recognizing me. I'm very humbled by that. And I was also humbled by your confidence that you placed in me. And I tried to do my very best to make our city a better place to live and try to help through the planning process. So I hope I did adequate with that. And I do, I do hate to leave the commission I was on. I've grown close to all of its members, but it is necessary for me to do that. So thank you for this recognition. I really appreciate it. And I want to also commend all of you for the work that you're doing to make the city a better place too. Each of you are just doing a great work, and I know it's not easy. I know it's not something that is easy to do, but we certainly appreciate your efforts and thank you for your service as well.
Thank you, Richard. Are there any of our other council members who would like to say something?
I want to thank Richard personally. It's always been a pleasure working with you when we were on the planning commission together. We sometimes had different opinions, but we were always we came to the right conclusions for the city, I believe, and you were a big part of that. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Councilmember Overton.
Yes, Richard, I just want to say, it has, you've been part of this expansion of our city. Someone thing you and your family will look back and be able to say that you were a part of it. Because of you, we've been able to move a lot of things forward in a quick fashion, with you being there on the planning commission and helping out. And I just really want to say thank you for your services to the community and helping us move the city forward. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm sure our community does too.
Thank you, Joyce. Appreciate that.
Councilmember Harris.
Well, we very much appreciate your efforts and, you're stepping forward initially to show interest in being on planning is a true testament to your personality in general. You're the do the right thing kind of guy, and you've always been that way. And I think a lot of people in this community look to you because of that. You stand strong in your positions, and your participation has been very much appreciated. And I hope that the next chapter of your life is fun and entertaining. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Phil.
Richard, I'd just like to echo those same sentiments. You have done some good work. It was wonderful having you ministering in our community, and you, of course, you retired from that and then joined our commission. I'd also like to thank your wife. Sharon has been such a blessing for you, and I know your family, and she allowed you to take the time to do this work and to help our city out. So thank you both. Thank
you very much, Russ. And I really enjoyed your prayer tonight. That was a great prayer offered. And I concur with those blessings that you gave. Thank you, sir.
He's my go-to guy. Anyone else?
Well, yeah, I mean, I would just echo all the comments that were made. I had the opportunity to thank Richard at the last planning commission meeting, but he's been great to work with in my time here. Appreciate his sort of steady hand, being the chair running the meetings. And as some of you mentioned, even if disagreed on some items, he always, honestly and tactfully shared his opinion, and everyone still gets along afterwards. And so that's something that, particularly as a staff person, is always well appreciated. So just want to thank you. Look forward to seeing you around the city, helping out whenever you are home from your travels. So we'll definitely miss you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alan. Those are very nice. I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Okay. Well, yeah, we could probably call on you to do the invitation on some of our meetings going forward now.
I'd be happy to do that.
We might give you a call.
Okay.
Richard, again, thank you so much for your service to the city.
Well, I love our city. I've raised our family here, lived here quite a long time. I've been through all the changes, including the incorporation of the city. So, my heart is here, and I'm so thankful to see the progress that's been made over the last 5-6 years that the city council's kind of been moving forward. I really appreciate that. And I know I speak for many citizens, maybe unspoken in a lot of ways, but we can see the improvements. We can see the things that are being done. And so thank you all for your service as well.
Okay, Richard. Have a great night. Thank you. We need to move on now. The next item is the presentation proclamation declaring October 2020 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I'll read the proclamation. Breast Cancer Awareness Month, October 2020, whereas while considerable progress has been made in the fight against breast cancer, it remains the most commonly diagnosed cancer and the second leading cause of death among women in the United States. Whereas each year it is estimated that more than 220,000 women in the United States will be diagnosed with breast cancer and more than 40,000 will die as a result of the disease. And whereas October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, an annual campaign to increase awareness about the disease, and whereas during the month we reaffirm our commitment to support breast cancer research and to educate all citizens about its risk factors, detection, and treatment. And whereas as we display pink ribbons and wear pink clothing to raise awareness, we also support those courageously fighting breast cancer and honor the lives lost to the disease. And whereas this October we recognize breast cancer survivors, those battling the disease, their families and friends, who are a tireless source of love and encouragement, and applaud the efforts of our medical professionals and researchers working to find a cure for this deadly disease. And whereas Breast Cancer Awareness Month is an opportunity to unite all citizens in our community to prevent breast cancer deaths through increased education and regular screening. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Clearlake does hereby proclaim October 2020 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in Clearlake. This is dated this first day of October 2020 by myself, Mayor of Clearlake. Do we have anybody that's?
Councilmember Purdue.
Councilmember Purdue. Didn't know that. I would have asked that question first.
All right, thank you, Mayor.
Say something.
May I say something?
You may.
Thank you, Mayor. As I've said in this chamber before, I had the privilege and the honor of meeting several breast cancer survivors when I participated in the Susan G. Coleman 60-mile walk in support of breast cancer research. I brought a couple of pictures of our team captain, Sally Dunbar, the team out of Sacramento area through a real estate company that she works for and the many volunteers come from that walk with her. I think they're nearing almost $2 million in monies raised for Susan G. Coleman. We chose to walk in the San Diego 60-mile walk. My wife and I, we still train or practice and walk along with them when our schedules allow. The team is called the Hands Up for Hooters. It was a lot of fun, really enjoyable meeting these incredible women and survivors and men as well. Brought some pictures of the team when I was there and we were in San Diego. Again, it was a lot of fun, but it's also for a great purpose. And the message that just resonates throughout the actual 4 days that we're there walking and meeting other survivors and seeing the devastation that this form of cancer can bring on a family is really eye-opening, and it just tears at your heart. So with that, I'd also like to say from my position at Adventist Health Clearlake and my affiliation with Dr. Paula Donda, please get checked, go have your mammograms, get your pap smears. These are cancers that we can treat through Susan G. Komen and many of the developments that have come through breast cancer awareness and the monies that are and the new labs and the techniques that are being used. They have many new treatments now to prolong life and even to turn that cancer around. And the survivor rate is much higher today than it ever was. So please get checked, see your doctor, and let's beat this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Purdock. As always, you do a great job of presenting for breast cancer.
Oops. And Mr. Mayor, I'd also like to recognize Lake County Fire typically changes their uniform during this month, and they will be wearing, presumably, they'll be wearing pink uniform shirts. And I also know that our Clear Lake Police Department last year did the same. I would assume they'd be doing so this year. And I would like to share this proclamation with those first responders.
And I'm a little bit embarrassed that we don't have any pink ribbons on ourselves.
I wore my pink shirt and tie tonight for this award or recognition.
Yes, you certainly did. All right, we will now move on to presentation of proclamation declaring October 2020 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And I understand that Lake Family Resource Center will be present by Zoom to
Yes, we have Sherry Young here as a representative. She's on the Zoom.
All right. Sarah, welcome. And again, a proclamation, I'm going to, hi, Sarah.
Sherry.
Can you hear us? Or Terry, I'm sorry. Can you hear us? Okay. Proclamation designating the month of October 2020 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Clear Lake. Whereas domestic violence impacts women, children, and men of all racial, cultural, and economic backgrounds. Whereas emotional and physical scars resulting from domestic violence are often severe and long-lasting. Whereas in the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2020, Lake County law enforcement responded to over 520 incidents of domestic violence, including men, women, and children in the past 12 months. The Victim Witness Division of the District Attorney's Office has served over 376 victims of domestic violence. The Lake County Sheriff's Office received 793 calls reported as domestic violence, and the Lake Family Resource Center responded to 1,007 crisis line calls, served victims, and additionally sheltered 149 domestic violence victims and their children, for a total of 5,458 dead bodies. Wow. Whereas it is crucially important to hold perpetrators responsible for assault and prevent domestic violence at every opportunity, and whereas family violence is a community problem, stopping the cycle requires not only the strength and courage of survivors, but also the support and involvement of all members of the community. And whereas many organizations such as the District Attorney's Office, Sheriff's Office, Lakeport Police Department, Clear Lake Police Department, and Lake Family Resource Center are committed to ending domestic violence in Lake County and provide essential crisis intervention and prevention services to all members of our community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the month of October 2020 is designated as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the city of Clear Lake, and our community is urged to support the efforts of the agencies assisting victims of domestic violence and to increase their involvement in efforts to prevent domestic violence, thereby strengthening our community and creating an environment which honors, nurtures, and protects all members of every family. Dated this first day of October 2020, signed by myself as mayor. Clearlake. Would you like, well, I'm symbolically handing this proclamation to you. Would you like to hear, can you can speak now, or can we hear you?
Or forever hold my peace.
Yeah.
Okay, you can hear me?
Yes.
All right, so this is definitely quite the kickoff to Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I believe it's the first proclamation in many years where we've actually had it held on the 1st of October, so this is pretty neat. I'm really proud and I appreciate Lake County's dedicated efforts on assisting victims when in need. It truly does take devotion and passion from all of our Lake Family Resource Center advocates, our partners, and all of our community members to truly join together and combat domestic violence. With the current shelter in place and pandemic times have been extremely challenging, but that hasn't stopped any victim from receiving services from our agency or all of our partners together in this county. And again, I'm extremely proud to be able to get on here and say that today. With everything that's happening virtually this October, we do have a social media campaign happening. So I encourage all to please go to the Lake Family Resource Center Facebook page and like us. And that way you can go ahead and follow and be a part of all of our month-long activities. And if you look today, we've had a few. I won't give any hints on what they are, but check them out and join us. And I would just like to thank the city of Clearlake on behalf of Lake Family Resource Center for this opportunity and the Zoom platform option and proclaiming October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And thank you for all that you do as well.
Thank you very much for those comments. And we will somehow get you this proclamation. For anybody that wants to have it.
I can get it to Lisa tomorrow.
Okay. We'll get it to Lisa then. Alrighty. Well, thank you again for being here. We'll now move on to public comment. Public comment will be accepted via email and through the city's town hall portal prior to the start of the meeting. Each public comment emailed to the city clerk will be read aloud by the city clerk for up to 3 minutes or will be displayed on the screen. Public comment emails and town hall submissions which are received after the beginning of the meeting will not be included in the record. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment?
Doesn't it look like anyone's raising their hand on the Zoom meeting? And I did not receive any emails or public or town hall comments.
All right. We'll now close public comment. We'll move on to the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the council or audience requests otherwise, or staff has requested a change under adoption of the agenda, in which case the item will be removed for separate consideration. Any item so removed will be taken up following the motion to approve the consent agenda. Council, are there any items that any of you would like to see removed? Council Member Purdon.
I'd like to pull item 6 for discussion.
All right, 6. Anyone else? Is there anybody from the public that wants to?
No one's raising their hand on the Zoom and no one has asked.
All right. So I would like then to have a motion to accept the consent agenda with the exception of item number 6.
Second.
The motion has been made by Council Member Overton and seconded by Vice Mayor Slotin. Will we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Overton?
Aye.
Councilmember Harris?
Aye.
Councilmember Purdon?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Slutin?
Aye.
Mayor Kramer?
Aye. Motion passes. All right, so we now shall move on to item number 6. Second reading and adoption of ordinance number 246-2020, an ordinance to the City Council of the City of Clearlake amending section 5-1 20.3 and section 18-12.050 of the Clearlake Municipal Code relating to commercial cannabis businesses. Ms. Swanson, are you presenting this?
I don't think we had planned a presentation. This is the way we normally handle second readings of ordinance adoption. So perhaps we could just see what Mr. Purdock wants to
Right.
discuss.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just address and explain my purpose for pulling it. I was approached by a few members of the community who were not able via Zoom or phone to comment when we heard this in our last meeting. And they wanted to express their comments if it could be pulled tonight. So I did that. I believe they might be online either in the Zoom chat room or by phone. And I just wanted to afford them that opportunity.
Is there any other comments or questions rather from council before moving on to public comments? Being that, we'll move on to public comments.
We do have
One hand raised. So Denise Lucelo has been added to the room. If you want to comment, you can go ahead.
Ms. Luslo, are you there?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sorry, I tried to unmute it. So over the past, I'd say, well, the last meeting, Denise Lucelo, sorry, business owner, property owner, City of Clear Lake, property owner, Lake County, California also. I was approached multiple times, and again, people during this COVID stage are having a hard time communicating and getting into the everyday, I guess you'd say, workings of these Zoom meetings, and especially if they're used to just attending a meeting after work, etc. It's kind of hard to get on. So they had some concerns. Some of them I did hear in the last meeting were discussed as far as one in full operation as far as a permit, etc. on this. And then 11 are still kind of in some form of operation, but not full operation, I guess is how I would word it. So there is a lot of concern that I've heard, and I personally have some concern about that also. So just to have a second reading, I know it's okay to have it on a consent agenda, but I felt that just maybe it needed to be discussed as well, and I'm glad Councilman Purdock pulled it so we could discuss it this evening. I just don't feel that I am happy or everyone's being happy that this is being changed so quickly after we had set it in place with the 12 permits and the general plan zoning and etc. So, and I don't want to scare anybody, but if I can remind the council people that sat with me at this time, we got referendumed when we tried to do things back in the day, and that was a total ban, of course. But it doesn't mean that that can't happen these days. And the people I'm talking to may not be able to get on Zoom and may not be able to get to that meeting, but they're not happy. And so I'm kind of just being a spokesperson. Again, I'm not an elected official in this form anymore like you folks are. And I trust in your guidance and your decisions, but I'm just want to relay what I am hearing. And I share some of their concerns. So that's what I wanted to speak about this evening.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Olson. Are there any other?
We have one other hand raised, Joan McLaurin.
Okay.
Would you like to have her go ahead?
Joe?
Would you like to have her go ahead?
Yes.
Okay.
needs to unmute herself.
Myself. Almost there.
She's unmuted a couple times, but immediately muted again. You could go ahead and unmute, Joan. You're ready to talk.
Unmute. All right, did I unmute?
Yes.
We can hear you
Oh,
now.
wonderful. Thank you. I too am just concerned. I'm going to share with you because they are out of town and I don't want to speak out of turn, but a business across from myself had their shop broken into the other day. And discussing issues with her, she didn't realize about the zoning ordinance, did not know what was going on, and was curious why someone called her and wanted to know if they were willing to sell their business because it would make a good marijuana bar. That concerns me, and I just really feel that I'm just very heartsick that this is happening in our community. And I really wish that we would have a little bit more input in from the public, or that the people whose zoning had been changed have been notified, other than through the newspaper. And again, I see that you're changing from the Clearlake Observer to the Record B and the Lake County News, which is great to hear. But the fact this was a business person that did not even realize their zoning was having this classification added. And so I just feel like we're using the cannabis issue to raise money through taxes and not considering the consequences. Again, the other thing too is, the miniature golf course is a child's recreation area, and you've got it right up to them. And it was my understanding that the cannabis had to be so far away from youth activities. So again, this is just my feeling about the issue, and that I wish there had been a little bit more consideration on where you put the zoning for this.
Thank you, Mrs. McGorry. Are there any others? No? Okay.
Okay, if I could, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make maybe just a
Absolutely.
clarifying point or two. So just to clarify for members of the public, so no changes have been made with this ordinance with the zoning map. And there's no changes to any allowance of additional retail dispensary type use on Lakeshore Drive. There was mention about the mini golf and that type of thing. So these changes that are included in this ordinance amendment don't have any impact on that. To other types of businesses related to cannabis, but no changes to retail dispensary or the zoning maps themselves.
Thank you, City Manager Flora, for saying that. I was going to, if you didn't. Are there any other public comments?
There are no further public comments, Mr. Mayor.
We'll now bring it back to council for comments and action. Are there any comments?
I just want to make thank you for doing that. And it does, I understand what they're looking at on the map, but just because there's zone areas, they're not necessarily mean that they're going to be able to put a business there. That's why we have a planning commission, and so that's important for you guys to understand that zones are, everywhere. We can't pick and choose which zones, once they're set, they're set. And we decide a business, whether it's this or any other business, going to a certain zone, any zone that's there is going to be counted in on our plan. So it will be up to the planning commission, am I not correct, to approve this? So even if there was somebody that wanted to come in, first off, if another dispensary can't come in, we don't have enough population to make that happen unless, we wanted to change that. We did not change that. So, which would be what that would be as retail. So I don't see that's going to happen, not anytime soon anyway. But I do understand what you guys are talking about. I just want you to know that that's not going to happen. That still has to follow all the rules and regulations. So our planning commission would never, I'm going to assume we're going to have good enough planning commissions that they're not going to let that. And thanks for the concern.
Okay. Any other comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve item number 6 on the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion has been made by Councilmember Harris and seconded by Vice Mayor Slogan. And we have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Overton.
Aye.
Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Purdock.
No.
Vice Mayor Slutin.
Aye.
Mayor Kramer.
Aye. Motion passes. We will now move on to item number 15. Yes. Okay, which is the first consideration of appointment of a planning commissioner to fill an expired term ending in March 2021. And as I understand it, we have 3 applicants on Zoom, and the way we're going to work this is we're going to have applicant number 1, Mrs. Williams, will be answer a question posed by myself. Applicant number 2, Mr. Smith, will answer a question posed by council member what? You get it?
Vice Mayor.
By Vice Mayor Slogan. I've got to get to my cheat sheet. And Mr. McKeown, you'll have your first question from council member Harris. And then it will go back to Mrs. Williams, council member Overton, followed by Mr. Smith, council member Purdock, Mr. McKeown, from myself, and on through until we have 10 questions in total. So every one of you will get every question, but because of the Zoom and the way we have to work this, we're doing it a little differently than we normally do. So we'll get started. Mrs. Williams, you get to do this is my question number 1.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to let you know, looks like Mr. Smith just dropped off of the Zoom, so hopefully he'll be back on soon, but I'll let you know.
Okay. And he was going to be number 2. All right, Mrs. Williams, tell us about your qualifications and why you would be a good choice for planning commissioner. What skills, qualities, experience, or education do you possess that would allow you to hit the ground running if you were appointed? You might remember these questions. Did
Can you hear me?
Did you hear my question?
Yes. Okay,
go for it.
Okay. I have my own business that I have been running for close to 20 years. In that time, also started my husband's welding business and managed it, which we sadly had to close after the last time the market crashed. I have been involved in many nonprofits. I currently am the treasurer of Seroptimist International of Clearlake. Previous to that, was the treasurer for a nonprofit with $1 million in working capital. I was a mortgage underwriter for 15 years, which requires extensive calculating, research. The word just went out of my head that I was looking for. Anyway, I have a lot of experience with that. One of the boards that I served on was Founder Region Fellowship. It was an elected position. In that, we gave $200,000 to women in the final phase of their PhD studies and had to review on average of 40 to 60 applications over a weekend that explained what they were working on, and they were typically 20 to 30 pages each. So I'm really good at reading fast, getting what I need, extremely detail oriented.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams. Okay, is Mr. Smith with us now?
Is not rejoined.
We want to move our numbers up one and come back down. What do we want to do here?
Guess we'll just have to
Wouldn't he get the same question, Mr. Mayor?
Pardon me?
Wouldn't he and Michael also get the same question? Question one?
Is that what we're doing?
Well, it's getting confusing if we cycle through people one question.
Yeah. Is that what we intend to do, everybody is one?
Yeah, ask each one the same question.
Same
but
question.
alternate which one goes first each time.
Okay, then, I guess we can go on to, Mr. McEwen for question number one, number one. And
You like me to take that, sir?
now I'll go ahead and take all the number ones and then you, pardon me?
Are we doing like 1, 2, 3, 4 so that they don't have a chance to?
Mhm.
So if you go on to question number 2 with Michael.
That was what my understanding, the way we were gonna do it, but that's,
So each one you would ask the same question, but you would just alternate who goes first each time.
So the next time we're gonna ask,
All right.
and then the next one will be right vice versa.
okay, then
Michael, same question.
Michael gets number one. All right. All right, I'm gonna go ahead, well, go ahead, Vice Mayor, you can ask Michael number one.
It's number 2.
Michael, as a planning commissioner, primary responsibility is to make land use decisions that are consistent with policies and plans formally adopted by the city council. Do you know what documents guide policies and plans of the city?
Yes, so you're talking to me now, Michael?
Yes. Yes.
All right, hello. And I just want to interject, assuming can be challenging for people. I wonder if somebody should try to call the other fellow and make sure he has a chance.
I'm contacting him now.
Okay, good. All right, so yes, I am familiar with them. That would be the zoning code, which is chapter 18 within the municipal code, the general plan, and the strategic plan. Additionally, chapter 8 of the general plan is the housing element, all of which I have familiarized myself with. Interestingly, the general plan is not linked on the general plan page of the city's website. It has verbiage saying link below, but it's not. You can find it, however, by Google searching for it.
Okay, thank you.
Can we ask him the first question?
We're supposed to. Yeah, I don't know what happened.
I don't want
I thought we were going all the way down and then coming back.
We're not. She explained it a couple times now. I think
Couple
the way I
times.
understand it is we're cycling all three of them are getting the
to.
same
Same
question,
question.
but we're going to alternate who gets the question first. So for example, question 2, we would not start with Fawn.
Correct.
So
But you want me to answer the question that Fawn answered?
Yes.
So that's the qualifications why would be a good choice.
Yes.
I am a local business owner. I speed read. Witness this giant library behind me, 16 feet long. I type 80 words per minute. I have read the Clearlake strategic plan, the general plan, most of the municipal code, including, of course, Article 18, the zoning code. I have attended most of the city council meetings in the years since I moved here. I watched most of the last year's planning commission meetings on PEG TV. I'm a member of both chambers of commerce locally. I'm a certified tourism ambassador. I manage and host the Clearlake Chamber of Commerce website, which has familiarized me with most of the businesses in our city. And my work as a mechanical designer has trained my mind in critical thinking skills and the ability to look at situations relatively unbiased, which often allows me to find creative out-of-the-box solutions to challenges. I have twice been president of, we call it master, the Masonic Lodge in St. Helena, which is no small feat, requiring significant memorizing, as well as dealing with the powerful emotions that often arise from our significant income. I've also been in leadership positions with other nonprofits over the years, including the American Cancer Society's Relay for Life, a business development organization I was president of for about 9 years, and more. For what it's worth, I also had meetings with 3 of the current planning commissioners to find out what's currently going on, just to make sure I was up to speed.
Has Mr. Smith rejoined us?
No, he's not. He's attempting, but he can't.
Is he going to be able to?
Should we just give him a minute, or can he just phone call?
Maybe just call in.
That's what
Trying to get him to call in?
Okay, so, Mr. Smith needs to go ahead.
Go ahead without him,
Yes.
so he's dropping out. Okay. Councilmember Harris, do we want to catch on up with question number 2?
Yep.
Let's do that then.
Vaughn, if you're ready for this question, the planning
Okay.
commissioner's primary responsibility is to make land use decisions that are consistent with the policies and plans formally adopted by the city council. Do you know what documents guide the policies and plans of the city?
Yes, it's the general plan, the zoning codes, which are currently being worked on and updated, and the strategic plan.
Thank you so much.
Okay, now,
Mike, we'll get the same question.
Here we go.
Oh, you already got that.
Yeah, so we're question.
Councilmember Overton. So we should go, that one will go on to question number 3 and ask, well, I guess we'll just go ahead and ask Mr. McKinnon and then.
You know, one thing that concerns me a little bit by this process, in the past, there's only been one applicant because, you know, I could borrow from what Fawn is saying or the other way around.
Yes, we have certain problems with this because we can't isolate each of you.
That's why we're doing,
That's why we're rotating back.
who gets to
Give
answer
you
things
one
first.
question first and give Vaughn one question.
So you
Different
get to
question.
answer this one, correct?
Pardon me?
So Michael, you get to answer this question first. So, what do you know about the current projects of the city?
The proposed roundabouts, the sidewalk improvements on Lakeshore and Dam Road, the cannabis license allocation change, which while up to now, I don't think it was much of a planning commission thing, but so with the new rules, it probably will be. Austin Park, which is mainly finished. The giant bass sculptures, I am a firm supporter of public art. The PG&E temporary power substations, car crushing at the airport, at the old airport. I haven't seen the car crusher lately. The airport property cleanup and development. The landfill got an extension on its life. Yay. Starbucks, another yay. I got like $50 left on a card I can't use anymore. Hopefully they find a co-tenant. Those are some projects I'm aware of.
Thank you. This Councilmember Purdock, you will ask that.
Well, yeah, I was gonna, want me to cover 4?
We're asking Fawn 3.
Oh, sorry. Fawn, are you ready?
Yes.
What do you know about the current projects of the city?
I know that the use of Measure V, the road tax, is continually an ongoing project. Animal control, which is very near and dear to my heart. I've made a couple hundred masks for them to sell for their fundraisers, is being redone. Austin Park was just finished. I know that Alan is working with some of the big corporations trying to get some new businesses in here and looking for partners within the community to work with some of those businesses to try to bring them in. Of course, Austin Park that was just finished, Tribal Health, which has broken ground, is going to be an amazing improvement to the city. I know that we're still trying to find another tenant for Big Five and looking for a place to move City Works to, because the yard that they're in right now just is way too small. So that's most of what I know right now is going on.
Thank you, Fawn.
Okay. So Fawn was second on question number 3, so she'll be first on question number 4, which is my question. So Fawn, do you
Yes.
have, I can call you Fawn now, I guess, so I don't get to know you here. Do you have a defined area about, or have you taken a public stance on any current projects in the city?
No, I have not. most of the projects that are going on right now are things that I support. But I also know that being on the Planning Commission, you have to be able to separate business from personal. It's something that any good business person knows. You know, use your guidelines, the general plan and whatnot, current laws to decide which is the proper way for the Planning Commission to go.
Okay, thank you, Fawn. Vice Mayor Slotin, do you want to ask that same question?
Michael, do you have a defined idea about, or have you taken a public stance on any current projects in the city?
Well, I haven't taken a public stance, but I have certainly chatted with lots of people about my opinion on some things. And I understand the need to be unbiased as a planning commissioner, because it's basically just looking at if the rules are being followed. But I suspect this question is more one to show if I have any opinions on current projects, so as to demonstrate that I'm paying attention to current planning related issues. And I do have thoughts on multiple projects. One I can mention is I think the nearly 1.4 million for the roundabout at Olympic and Lakeshore is unnecessary unless a developer is successful at building a resort there, and then they should pay for it. If traffic is an issue at that intersection, which I live just a few blocks away, I don't think it is. I think turning it into a three-way stop might be a consideration before spending that kind of money. Ultimately, I understand the city would not have to pay for it, as the increase in fees by property and business owner will cover its costs, but I'm sensitive to our local home and business owners' marginal financial ability as it is already, and I would want to see us limit the increased cost to live and do business here. I think it's important for Clearlake to be an attractive place to live for a variety of reasons, and cost is a key one. It's the main reason I moved here. One thing I hear from a lot of residents I talk to is if they have to spend more money on infrastructure for the town to increase our quality of life, they'd rather see it spent on road improvements such as actual pavement rather than increasing traffic flow with roundabouts. On the other hand, every time I go down Dam Road to the dumps, I see all those poor people that live up the road that have to wait at the stop sign for traffic from the highway to finish passing by. So I'm sure they'll appreciate the improvement. A cautionary thought is large trucks don't make it around roundabouts without driving over them. So if it's not large enough diameter to allow the garbage trucks to get around them, they'll have maintenance costs. I also share a concern I've had re the allocation of the cannabis licenses because it seems like it might allow monopolization. I probably don't completely understand this. I know it's complicated, but the whole, the fact that we're looking at a potential $1 billion industry with the current legal allowed land, it's a significant income potential for the city. And we certainly have to have our head up on a swivel about it.
Thank you.
Okay, you will now take Councilmember Harris, who will present number 5 to Michael.
Mr. McKinnon, are you ready for this?
Oh, I hope so.
All right. Are there any planning projects or issues that you have concerns about, or that you feel are important planning issues facing the city of Clearlake?
Well, yes. And one of them may not be on the radar, but it's in my attention, and I think it should be on our radar if it's not. So cannabis, that's an obvious one, and hotels. I see the burgeoning cannabis industry locally as an opportunity for us to get more money flowing through local businesses, balanced with being careful not to impact the brand identity of Clearlake. Also, while not currently on the radar of any city development or plans as far as I know, which maybe it is, I think we should be looking forward that if our marketing is effective as tourism traffic increases to our area, we should be an attractive city for hotel development. St. Helena made a mistake of eschewing hotel development and now suffers from missing out on the transient tax income that their neighboring cities enjoy. I would encourage wine tasting rooms downtown. Some of our local wineries are far-flung. The city of Napa has proven the value in allowing tasting rooms downtown. I'm not sure where the city is at in identifying a new space for the corporate yard and the animal shelter, but I think that is a very important issue to be able to have increased support of our city's streets and civil engineering infrastructure by having a space large enough to house heavy equipment. I know that I think that the current property that's being used is up for sale, and I know there was talk about a variety of different potential locations, and I have tried to stay up on things since we've been on COVID, but frankly, I don't know if a decision is made on a new property for that, but I think that's, super important. Got to have room for our equipment. Addressing our homeless issues are super important to increase the positive appearance of our town. And that could be a planning commission item should space and resources open up to address the issue. When visitors to our town see drugged out and crazy people walking out of Safeway stealing bags of groceries, which I see nearly every time I go there, it affects all our costs for food. And we see them panhandling or sleeping on the sidewalks, gesticulating wildly to themselves as they stagger down the side of our beautiful Lakeshore Drive. It gives a very negative, seedy impression of our town. I know that this is a complicated problem promulgated by the closing of the Ukiah Insane Asylum in the 70s and the rate at which prison releases were released into our community, combined with limited local resources for housing them and dealing with their mental health and substance abuse issues. But for sure, if we're to improve our image, this needs to be addressed. The homestead housing program is a great thing I support to help the disadvantaged homeless get into stable housing. And that is an important social work as a city we should get behind. But the larger human blight issue, the crazy and drug addicts, which is much more expensive to deal with, and it may require the city to grow a thick skin in order to deal with the problem. Another item that may cross the Planning Commission's attention at some point is derelict buildings, especially on our main visitor corridors. It is a clearly stated intent of the city to improve our appearance for visitors, and this is another item that needs direct attention. And of course, you all know I support public art, small art, and music. This will instill a sense of pride and a sense of community in our residents.
Thank you for your answers.
Councilmember Overton, you want to pose that question to?
In Vaughn, all right. Okay, Vaughn, so same, are there other projects or issues that you have concerns about or that you feel are important planning issues facing Clearlake?
There's nothing on the horizon right now that I know of that I'm concerned about. I've lived in Clearlake for 30 years, and in that time have seen a lot of changes for the positive, a lot of them recently, as well as some to the negative side. I would love to see code enforcement continue the work that they're doing. I know we really need to get an employment base up here that would provide a living wage for a lot of people, as well as medical coverage. And in order to do that, we need to get some viable businesses in here that can support that. Lake County is really becoming a tourist destination with all the projects that are going on around the lake. And even when Canocti was open fully with everything going on a while back, there was still a huge shortage of hotels. And I think that until we get Lakeshore and Olympic Drive really cleaned up and get the sidewalks in and deal with that, I think that we might have a hard time attracting some of the businesses that we need. And I know that those are projects that are being worked on, but I would really like to see that become a focus going forward. The homelessness, I know, is a huge problem that we're dealing with right now. I know that the county just got a $3.3 million grant to help with the homeless. I would love to see the city get something like that to help. I know one of the concerns I have is definitely the area behind Big Five and Walmart in that area. It seems that we have a lot of fires back there, which take a lot of resources. And that's an area that I would love to see something happen with.
Thank you, Fawn. Okay, moving on to Councilmember Purdock with question number 6 for Fawn.
Vaughn, you ready for the next question?
Sure.
Some staff reports and documentation for the Planning Commission agendas can be several hundred pages long.
Mhm.
What would you do to thoroughly prepare, review Planning Commission documents before meetings?
I would read them, study them. I like to compare notes and go through everything with a fine tooth comb. I'm a very quick reader. That was required, like I said, when I was on the board of Founder Region Fellowship, reading dissertations. I don't know if you've ever read a dissertation that's 20 to 30 pages long, but it can be very dry. And you have to just really set your mind on it and know that you've got to get through it and comprehend it.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, I will ask that same question. Michael, some staff reports and documentation for the Planning Commission agendas can be several hundred pages long. What would you do to thoroughly prepare and review the Planning Commission documents before the meetings?
Well, that's easy. I speed read. I'm sitting in front of a massive library. You're seeing only a piece of it, and very little of it is fiction. I'm good with dry material. I don't read like some speed wizard on YouTube reading a page at a glance, but I can devour written material. I also believe in using the phone. You can expect me to call staff prior to Planning Commission meetings to make sure I understand what is on the table before the meeting, so I don't waste everyone's time with questions that should have been addressed prior. In addition to reading the documents, however, I believe it is important for any planning commissioner in any city to attend and review the minutes for all city council meetings and ad hoc committees and any other committees. Only by having a complete view of a city's current development situation can one be prepared with a complete understanding of projects that come before the Planning Commission. Ultimately, though, I know the Planning Commission is not a political organization. It exists primarily to review projects to make sure they fit our city's rules. But being aware of the big picture goes a long way to making intelligent, informed decisions.
Thank you, Michael. Vice Mayor Slotin, you want to handle question number 7 for starting with Michael?
Michael, are you able to attend evening meetings on first and third Tuesday? And can you be available during the day on occasion to serve on an ad hoc committee?
Yay, a short answer, yes.
Okay, good. Really not much more to it. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Harris, same question for Vaughn.
Vaughn, are you ready for this question?
Yes.
Are you able to attend the evening meetings on the first and third Tuesdays? And can you be available during the day on occasion to serve on an ad hoc committee?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you for that.
All right, question number 8, starting with Vaughn. Councilmember Overton, do you want to present?
Okay, Vaughn, what would you do as a planning commissioner if you are unsure of how to vote on a particular issue, and how would you handle a decision that you did not agree with?
I am great about asking questions. I don't hesitate to do that. It's the only way you can learn. I would work with, the city manager, try to get answers to my questions, review the documents that are given to us as guidelines to follow. As far as how would I vote on something that I didn't agree with, I would follow my gut. And if it was something that I didn't think met the guidelines or was appropriate, I would vote no.
So the second part was, how would you handle a decision that you did not agree with? In other words,
it's separating the business from the personal. You can't take decisions personally. This isn't about us as people. And as an adult, I can handle not getting my way.
Okay. Councilmember Burdock, you want to ask that same question of Michael?
Sure, just confirming that was 7.
8.
8. Michael, you ready?
I'm ready.
What would you do as a planning commissioner if you were unsure of how to vote on a particular issue, and how you would handle a decision that you may not or you did not agree with.
Well, first I want to mention, and I have the utmost respect for Fawn's 30 years experience in our local community. I've been here 1 year now. But in that time, I've made a lot of contacts. I rely heavily, just generally in my life, in my business, in my volunteer life, I rely heavily on the relationships I build in every endeavor I undertake. Since I've been in Clearlake, I've made relationships in the business community and in local politics. I like to pick up the phone and ask for opinions and guidance, ultimately making up my own mind, but I learned a long time ago that I cannot think of every angle or way of thinking about an issue. And I find it of great value to reach out to people and learn their thoughts. Now, the part about how would I handle a decision that I did not agree with, as I previously mentioned, I participate in Freemasonry. And this is a lesson one learns very early in Masonry. One can have an opinion on something and share that opinion, and then a vote is taken, and it goes the way it goes, and we continue to love each other as fraternal brothers with no lingering animosity or any ego attachment to the situation at all. And I think that I'm pretty skilled at that sort of philosophy of being able to, have an opinion, but don't take it personal. It's for the good of everybody.
Thank you.
Michael, if you were asked to sit on the city council ad hoc or subcommittees such as the homeless issues or commercial cannabis ad hocs, what would you do to prepare for this assignment?
Well, I think by now you have a feel for how I work. I read, I research, I speak with lots of people. I love the telephone, ultimately forming my own opinion, but an opinion that is at that point educated and informed. I also appreciate how important it is that people feel heard and understood. And then whatever decision ends up being made, some people won't be happy, but they'll at least respect it was a well-considered decision.
Thank you, Michael. Vice Mayor Sloden, you want to ask the same question?
If you were asked to sit on a city council ad hoc or subcommittee, such as homelessness issues or commercial cannabis ad hocs, what would you do to prepare for this assignment?
I would research past decisions and discussions that had been had on it. I would talk to people on both sides of the issue to try to gather, pertinent information that might affect the outcome, so that I had a clear picture of what the issues at hand truly were, versus just, what I might think they are. I think that it truly is a benefit to get, information from both sides and use that to make an educated decision.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number 10, and that would be Councilmember Harris, outside of Fawn.
Indeed. Fawn, are you ready for this?
Yes.
What is your vision of the future of Clearlake?
I would love to see the improvements that have already been made continue, with more improvements. We're currently on a very positive path in the city of Clearlake. There's been a lot of work done that has helped clean things up. Our police department has been doing an amazing job. Code enforcement has been working hard. Just the improvement in the park with the bandstand. Once COVID's over, I'm really looking forward to community gatherings again. I really miss the farmers market and being able to get our community together. I think that the more that we can put in things that will draw our community together, that the better our city is going to be. And again, I really would love to see some good income base come in for our citizens as well.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Councilmember Overton, I guess, is where we're at. You want to ask that same question?
Okay, I'm good, Michael. So what is your vision for the future of Clearlake?
Well, I have several thoughts, primarily based on two main topics. In terms of city income, I don't think Clearlake has much hope of growing financially from manufacturing in the traditional sense. We're too remote for efficient transport of raw materials and the shipping out of finished products. I do, however, think we have a tremendous tourism opportunity with our wine industry, possibly the cannabis industry, possibly fishing, though we'd have to steal some of that industry away from this other side of the lake. I do think, however, that we have an opportunity to increase tourism here in our city with art, music, the wine industry, and by capitalizing on astrotourism, it's astronomy, and by marketing our dark skies, assuming we are aggressive at controlling public lighting. And I know we have some good rules on the book about that. And it would be my awareness on the Planning Commission. Increasing tourism to the city of Clearlake obviously brings dollars into the community through restaurants and whatever odd shopping takes place. But more importantly, as I mentioned earlier, is to make ourselves attractive to hotels so we can tap into the transient tax income. But growing our income is only half of my vision for Clearlake. The other half is just as important in my mind, and that is instilling pride in our residents for our community. I want to see Clearlake be increasingly family friendly. I support local artists and musicians. I want to see local art for sale everywhere I go. I want to see local musicians putting on chamber music events at Austin Park. I want to see our town's derelict commercial districts cleaned up. I want to see the crazy people and drug addicts moved out of the limelight districts. And I know we got to take care of them and we got to make an attractive place for them, but let's get them off of where the tourists go. All this will instill pride in our residents for our community. It will make our city more attractive for people to choose Clearlake as the city they want to live in. It will increase property values, giving people further pride in their community. Nothing gets a homeowner more excited than seeing the house across the street selling for far more than they bought their house for. I want to see the city of Clearlake have a reason for people driving by on 53 to pull down into our commercial district, and once there, find an attractive, compelling community that they want to take some time to explore and go home and tell their friends about this hidden jewel in our Lake County. Since I moved here, I've repeatedly been told by people it is not considered cool to admit you live in Clearlake, that Kelseyville or Lakeport has the coolness factor, that Clearlake is like Vallejo is to Napa. It's the seedy black sheep city no one wants to admit exists. I want to see that image changed. I want to see our residents to be proud that they were forward thinking enough to choose this community to live in before it became the cool place to be. Goal 4, Object 4, the strategic plan states, we need to, quote, stop trash talking our own city. I read this before I even chose to buy a house here. I think that was stated poorly. When we give ourselves messages, the mind doesn't hear the do or don't part. It only hears the message. By saying stop trash talking, we're reinforcing trash talking. That statement should say, we will find positive things to say about our city. That's my action plan. I'm positive about our city. My business is all about helping other people grow their business through effective, positive marketing messages. I see potential in Clearlake. We merely need to maintain a clear vision of what we want and take action in alignment with those goals. And year by year, Clearlake will become what we envision.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think at this time, we usually ask each candidate whether they have any remarks they want to make or something we didn't ask about.
Up to you.
Yeah. So I'll start again with Michael, since you went second on the last question. Is there anything that we didn't ask you about that you would like, information you'd like to give to?
Well, you didn't start out with asking us about ourselves and our background. So I'd like to share a little bit about me with you. I started out my adult life as an aircraft mechanic in the Air Force. I grew up in Napa. Then I got an Associate of Science degree in mechanical design. I worked doing submarine design for Westinghouse, a contractor with the Navy. I did process piping design for Shell Oil. Then I did in-floor radiant heat design for high-end custom homes. I left the workaday world for the work all the time world of the self-employed with my first business, Performance Composites, 30 some years ago. And at that time, I was an early adopter of the internet when it was text only, and mainly it was industry professionals using it as a way to connect. And my business, Wine Country Web Services, grew out of that, doing web hosting and web development, which business continues today here in Clearlake. As for the myself part, My biggest interest is the study of philosophy and psychology, specifically as it pertains to be able to see clearly in order to make effective business decisions without letting the ego get in the way, which is that little chatterbox in our head that never shuts up, tells us what things we experience mean, and is usually wrong. I also fly fish. I enjoy several aspects of aviation. I do astronomy. I build giant telescopes. I enjoy the shooting sports. And while I never wanted a house hobby, now that I'm a homeowner here in beautiful Clearlake, feels like I have a house hobby.
Thank you, Michael. Vaughn, are there any final thoughts you would like to give to us that we perhaps haven't asked you about?
Sure. My husband and I, we've been married 31 years, moved to the city of Clearlake 30 years ago. We both worked in Santa Rosa. We commuted for quite a few years to Santa Rosa. And during those years, you might as well have called us vacationers, weekend residents, because we were gone all week. But in the last 20 years, since I haven't been commuting and have had my own business here, granted, my business is worldwide, but I'm very involved in our community. Can't really go anywhere around the lake without running into someone that I know, sometimes out of county too. It's quite fun. I'm very much a people person. I love to learn. I think that being on the Planning Commission would give me a great opportunity to learn even more about our community than I have just from being so active in it on the nonprofit side, and working with. I've been on the board of the SPCA, and I also volunteer 1 to 2 days a month. I monitor anesthesia and surgery at spay and neuter clinics. Animals are really my passion. And so that fulfills a need that is a major problem here within the city of Clearlake. I was actually part of the 1,000 spays and neuters that were granted for animals within the city of Clearlake. We have a major problem with our animal overpopulation, and that's something else that needs to really be addressed down the road. So that's about it.
Thank you, Vaughn. Now we'll go to public comment. Are there any public comments on either the candidates or both of them?
No one's raising their hand on the Zoom, and I have not received any other comments. So, nope, there is no public comment.
Okay. So I will bring this back. Are there any comments from council?
I guess I'd say I very much appreciate you guys both applying for this position on the planning, and both of you bring a lot of positive things to our community. And I just want to say very happy that both of you decided to apply for this position.
I'm looking your way.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, I just echo what Councilmember Harris shared. I'm disappointed Mr. Smith couldn't be on. I was very pleased with the 3 applicants we had. Thank you so much for submitting your applications. That's what makes good quality commissioners, is having people to select from. And this is going to be a tough selection, I'm going to tell you. So thank you both.
Councilmember Overton?
I'll reiterate that. It's always a challenge when you want to step into the position that is very public. It is a tough road. It's not just come to a meeting and sit here. Decisions that you will make on the Planning Commission will be talked about. Some people are going to like it, some people aren't. That's why it's really important that you're able to separate your political stance on things and what's best for the city, because you're going to have to look at this really open-mindedly, and going to have to walk away and maybe ignore some people that are going to be against you. So you're going to have tough skins. So I hope both of you have that. It seems like you both do. But thank you for putting in your application.
Vice Mayor Swope?
Also, thank you for putting in your application. Yeah, it's going to be a tough decision, and I'll start keeping score here a little bit, and this is going to be a tough one, but which is a good thing, and it'll just make the Planning Commission stronger. So who we finally decide on, and that just like Councilman Overton said, sometimes the
gets tough a little bit, but I think both of you guys, both you, lady, and you, Mike, are tough enough to deal with it. So it's going to be a tough decision for us. Thank you. Okay, Vaughn and Mike, yeah, you both, I thought, did very well in your answering the questions. Vaughn, I know this is your second attempt to be appointed, and I appreciate that perseverance too, that you would come back and hopefully you can contribute to the city away. Michael, you're in your 1 year here, you've certainly done quite a bit as well. You're 30 years here. Vaughn, obviously you know the city, the history of the city and where it's been and where it's going a little more. So you both have strengths. And as my colleagues have all said, it's going to be a tough decision for us. So thank you. And I guess we have to move on to make that decision now. This is going to be again, do we want to have any discussion or do you want to just go to the vote? I'm going to leave that up to my council members. Okay. We'll just go to our final ranking of the two. And I guess turn that in to you to tabulate.
Sure.
Okay. Alrighty. Hold your ballots. The first page.
I will read them out loud. Thank you.
Alrighty.
Everyone.
You want to take a short break while
Yes.
you're doing that?
Thank you again, both of you very much.
For those online, in case you didn't hear, the mayor requested a short break, so we'll be back shortly.
No, they're good.
Ready? I can go to the. Okay. Mr. Mayor and council members, with a vote of 3-2, with Mayor Kramer, Councilmember Purdock, and Councilmember Overton voting for Ms. Williams. Ms. Williams is the one that got the most votes for the planning commissioner. Vice Mayor Slutin and Councilmember Harris voted for Mr. McEwen. But the final determination is made by vote and second of the council. So it would be appropriate for the mayor to take a motion and a second and a vote.
All right. And I will entertain a motion to use either Mr. McEwen or Mrs. Williams.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to accept the 3-2 vote for Fawn Williams as our new planning commission.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made by Councilmember Overton and seconded by Councilmember Purdock. We have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Overton,
Aye.
Councilmember Harris,
Aye.
Councilmember Purdock,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Slutin,
Aye.
Mayor Kramer.
Aye. Welcome. Motion passes. Both
Michael.
of you, again, have done a very good job. Mr. McKeon, I'm sure you'll be back and maybe running for council this next time around.
Juan, congratulations. I have been remiss not to reach out to you offline, which I will do. I don't have a graphic designer in support of my clients, so I'll be reaching out to you. Again, congratulations. You
Thank
did
you very
fantastic.
It
You did
was nice.
fantastic.
It was nice meeting you online.
No, likewise.
Take care.
And Fawn, congratulations. Again, I know this is your second time around. As I think I might have mentioned to you one time, I think it took me 3 times.
Don't give up, Michael.
The work is gonna start now. We've got a lot of things ahead of us, a lot of important projects coming up, so you are gonna be busy. Vice Mayor Sloan, you did want to say something.
Yeah, congratulations, Fawn.
Thank
I
you.
remember I had to apply, I don't know if it was 2 or 3 times for the planning commission. So Michael, and I'm over here. So I was also at that point kind of a newbie, but see what it got me. So.
Great.
But I think he beat me out for one of those times.
I don't remember. Anyway, congratulations, Fawn, and Michael. I'm sure we'll see you around.
Any more?
Thank you.
No, just thank you both for your application.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We're gonna move on now.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, did you want to say anything? I should have asked.
I'm just really excited to get started and to be a part of some of the decisions that are going to help make Clear Lake a better place.
We look forward to that as well.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, I guess we're moving on to what, 15, I lost track.
16.
16.
All right, item number 16, discussion regarding creation of a Clearlake Homestead Housing Program. City Manager Flora.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. So I don't know that I'll provide all the detail in the staff report. There's a fair amount of detail there, but just want to start by saying it has been a priority of the council to encourage housing development within the city, particularly market rate housing development for several years. And I think the council is all aware that if you compare the normal residential construction costs with our average housing value here in the city, it's difficult for larger subdivision developments to pencil out, and that's why we haven't seen any of those in the recent term. So we've been trying to figure out what ways can we still come up with a creative solution to encouraging housing development, particularly market rate development within the city. So there are a number of additional affordable housing projects that are in some part of the planning or funding process now. So we expect some of those to come forward over the next couple of years. And so this program is not designed to create affordable housing, but market rate. So we'd like to get some feedback from the council. If you like some of the things that have been outlined here, we could go ahead and move forward. We have requested as an action also appropriating funding for this program, which would come from Series B bond funds left over from the Port Redevelopment Agency that are to focus on low to moderate income housing. But I'm going to kind of skip to some of the program requirements and go over what we're recommending, and then maybe we can just address any questions that the council may have. So we feel like there's a great need in the market for quality housing for employed entry-level professionals or recent hires. And again, this isn't really a low-income target program, but those who are entry-level professionals, we have a lot of problems with finding quality housing for people who work at, say, the hospital. Adventist Health has talked about that. Tribal Health has talked about that. There's other employers in the area that it's really difficult, and many of their employees have to live in other areas of the county to find the housing that they're looking for. So our idea would be to try and offset some of those challenges and create a program where it's as easy as possible for those professionals to build a new house within the city. And so we think the program requirements, it should be owner occupied. This isn't intended to incentivize a developer to come in and use this program to develop 15 lots or something like that. Applicants should have an existing job within Lake County or verified employment offer to participate. And then we talked a little bit about this. We can focus on this more if you like, but we do need to justify the use of the funds, which are focused on low and moderate income housing. So what we did was use the HUD definitions, which go everywhere from extremely low up to moderate, and there's a classification based on household size. So if you look at this, a one-person household at median income would need an income of $49,500. Or if you went up to a four-person household at the moderate level, would be up to $84,850. So that's sort of the range. It could go up even higher than that. They have classifications up to, I think, 8 household members or something like that. But there's the chart that's updated every year based on HUD guidelines specific for Lake County. So that's what we would propose using. Obviously, this funding that we're recommending wouldn't be enough to build the house, but it's mostly focused on the fees and other things that are associated with that. So you have to obtain commercial financing for construction of a new stick-built home or new manufactured home. Well, I guess I'll talk a little about that later. So the idea being that in order to move forward with this program, you essentially get the benefits, which we'll talk about here in a second, but you have to agree to build a new home or locate a new manufactured home on your property within 12 months of starting this program. So in exchange for all that, we are recommending that this program as kind of designed before you, program participant would receive a value of somewhere around $40,000 depending on the situation. So we would recommend making available city-owned property that's zoned appropriate for this type of development. That program applicants could select one of those lots at no cost to them. It would be transferred. And then in addition, well, I'll step back slightly. My hope a year ago was that we could also acquire some of the tax defaulted properties that, as you know, are in abundance throughout the city, and be able to work a deal to acquire some of those and then work those properties into this program. With the situation that you're well aware of with the county tax collector, it's not reasonable at this point. We don't want to continue holding up moving forward with this type of program, waiting on that. So one idea that we had was, the city actually funding the purchase of a property that was found by the applicant within the city up to $10,000 per single lot. And then additional funds would be provided to cover building permit and plan check fees for up to 1,800 square feet. We feel like there, probably should be some type of limit on it. If they want to build a 2,500 square foot house, that's fine, but we would cover the fees up to the value of 1,800 square feet on all these items. Development impact fees that the council recently voted to put into place. Additionally, special district sewer connection fees, any water district connection fees, and then as you're aware, the school district and fire district both charge fees when you get a building permit. So this would cover the cost of all those. And of course, we try to do this all the time, but guarantee a priority review and approval of building plans that are submitted by city staff. We've also begun reaching out to some banks and let them know about the possibility of this program to see what type of interest there is. Our hope is that we could have a list of banks that are willing to participate with us. It's easy for folks to, talk to them. We wouldn't make a specific recommendation, but here's banks that are aware of the program, be willing to provide financing. I'm doing the same thing for licensed contractors. So we haven't fully vetted all this out, but I have talked to some contractors and some banks that think it's a great plan and would be excited to talk to us more and decide to move forward. And then one other thing, we have applied for some state funds. Because of COVID, the state delayed these funds, and so we're recommending moving forward with the program now. But the idea of one way to utilize those would be to actually hire an architect to draw up some sample floor plans that would be available to these applicants for free. If they wanted to use them, of course, they could come with their own design or whatever, but just anything that we could think of to make it easier and folks more excited about coming here and building a new house in the city and developing some quality housing. So we do have funding available, as I mentioned, in our Series B fund, and so we're recommending that the council appropriate $1 million of those funds to be used towards this program. So that's my overview, and I'll try to address any questions the council has.
Okay, questions? Vice Mayor Slogan.
I think this is an exciting program. The one question I have, with so many more people now telecommuting, their office, it might be in San Francisco, but they work from home here. Would that kind of be able to still apply for this?
I believe so, as long as, well, I mean, that's not really the way it's written right now, but I think that, you know, that's the reality of sort of changing workforce due to COVID that's likely to linger. So if that's something that's a priority of the council, I think, you know, we would support figuring out a way to make that work within the program.
And I assume that the program participant will receive approximately $40,000 roughly. Would that become a lien or not?
Well, I mean, I think that's something that the council should decide. It's something that we discussed internally. I've discussed it with some of the banks. Initially, I was thinking, you know, it's like, you know, we have the first time home buyer program and things like that. It has to be owner occupied. And I think, you know, there is a lot of an investment behind this program. And, you know, you don't really want necessarily for a developer to try to take advantage of that. So we could, I had initially thought that some of the banks would be concerned about that type of thing, but it sounds like most of their construction loan programs actually require that you live in that house for a certain period of time after it, once it's transitioned to the traditional mortgage. But I guess the reason that we didn't recommend that at this point is ultimately, I think the goal here is new quality houses. And if someone decides to participate in this program, build a new house, and in 3 months they decide to move to South Dakota or whatever, we still got what we really wanted, which was a new quality house in our community. So I think we could go different directions on that, but I guess our recommendation really at this point is to not put that requirement in place. Just make sure that we would have a clawback, and the bank says that they'd be willing to work with us on this, that if for some reason they stalled out on completing the project before there was a certificate of occupancy, then we would have an ability to pull the funding back. But I think the banks, through the construction loan process, would be a really great partner in making sure that the project gets completed. You know, I was talking with one of the banks, and if something like that happens, that bank at least completes the construction of the home and then sells it. So anyway, that's the logic behind the way it was presented, but obviously open to whichever direction the council wants to go.
I'm fine with it. The goal is to have.
Councilmember Overton.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with new housing, but I am not fine with not giving them a requirement how long they have to stay because I'm going to tell you what will happen. What will happen is people will come and they will get this loan. They will finish their house and they're going to take that profit and they're going to go someplace else. We have to put some kind of a limit. They have to stay in it for a certain amount of time. And we can't depend on the banks to say that that's the way it's going to be, because once the construction is done, it goes into a different type of loan. So it doesn't stay a construction loan. Once the construction's done, then it goes into, people will take advantage of it. We all know they will. And I think our job is to protect those funds. So I think we need to require them to be occupancy in those houses. For our thing is, yes, new houses, but it's also to have these people here working and having businesses. So if we let them just come in and it will happen and take that profit and go someplace else, leave California and go to another state, they can get a lot cheaper and have some funding. That's what they'll do. So I think we do need to have some kind of clause in there that they have to stay in the house for at least 3 years.
Councilmember Purdock, looks like you have a,
I do. I agree with the vice mayor, and I don't know that we can hold somebody to 3 years, but I do think we can hold them to paying it back. But I see your point, Councilmember Overton. Anyway, I'd like to thank the staff. This is something that we've been looking for. I am all for it. Transferring or transitioning vacant lots, particularly lots that were up for tax default, if we can work that out, is going to really help turn the city around in the direction we've been wanting it to go. So kudos to the staff. Thank you, Mr. Flora, for bringing this to us.
Just so I can be crystal clear on this, this is essentially a grant to them. So there is no obligation to return the funds other than the obligations that we set in place today.
Well, yeah, that's the way we presented it. I mean, we could design something more that way. But yeah, that's
Well,
what
I
we
would-
recommend.
Yeah, and so it's supposed to be owner occupied, right? So, so it's, from a developer perspective, this wouldn't be a scenario unless somebody's building a home with the intention to sell the home and make a profit. And anybody that does that is going to require 2 years before they do that anyways, because they're going to want to avoid the capital gains scenario. So I would say that a 24-month requirement with a graduated schedule would work. It could be all or nothing, or it could be a prorated scenario where it could reduce over the course of 24 months. But I would suggest a 24-month period, because that would match up to the taxable liabilities that they would be facing anyways. I think it wouldn't be advantageous, especially in our current market, for somebody to go and build a house and sell it within 3 months, especially if it's an owner occupied scenario. If somebody who's in a position where they're building 10 homes at once, you offload those homes quickly, because that's where you're making your money. If you're building a home for yourself, you don't have the ability to buy bulk and that sort of thing. That really reduces the pricing. So I don't know, it just seems reasonable to me to make it 24-month requirement.
yes, when you first brought this to my attention a few weeks ago, it's really excited about the prospects of finding a way to build new market rate housing, however you want to call that. I think that is the first priority. I certainly understand Councilmember Overton, Harris, and Purdock's thoughts that there should be some staying in the home, although our goal here is to get new homes built and start up a real estate a market of newer, nicer homes. And that's our primary, but I don't have a problem, and I think it makes sense what Councilmember Harris has said about with regard to the owner occupied. I know a lot of contractors do just that. They'll build a home, live in it for a couple of years, and turn it. And there's nothing wrong with that. It still gives us that home, that new home that we're looking for, and hopefully even more and better. I think one thing that I mentioned to you or asked you about, is you were talking about just the part of that fee would put $7,000 or so to hook up to the water system. And I mentioned there may be areas, if there's an area in Clearlake where they want to buy that isn't on city water, that amount could go towards the drilling of a well, the well system, pump system. So those would be my thoughts on that. Any other comments or questions? Or any public comments?
Again, Cheryl Allman has her hand up. So I'll.
Okay.
Okay.
How's that? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I think we're okay. You don't need to see me. I'm not that cute. I have a couple of concerns. One, I did not hear all the conversation because many of you are speaking low into the speaker, but I wanted to clarify that these people building the houses, are they contractors? Because if you're not a contractor, your current state of construction by a non-contractor is a 4-year ownership of the house. So when you talk about homesteading, my brain goes to anybody can do it if they pull all the right permits and do the work.
Well, I think they have to have a contractor. They're going to get our grant money. They have to have a contractor.
Contractors' licenses, that's the key.
Right.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes, they would have to have that.
Okay. But I do think that the concept was to get people who are going to stay here and develop their skills and hire people as well is part of your mix. So to do a house and be flipping them all the time and continuing to come back and get grants from you, you may want to think about how that looks.
One time.
It would be, we could put a one time.
They have to fit that in here, that it can only be a one time.
I think we're going to the staff to come up with a formal proposal on this. Is that correct?
Well, we can do it either way. My hope was that we just move this forward. So we get any feedback from the council. If you want to change any of these requirements, add 24 months or whatever, you just let us know. We appropriate the funds, and then we would develop application and program guidelines based on your direction. And we would move forward as soon as all the pieces were put together.
Okay.
Cheryl, done?
Are you done? Cheryl, didn't mean to interrupt you.
I'm done. I think it's a good program. I just want to make sure it's going to do what you guys think it's going to do and protect us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl.
We also have David Claffey.
Okay. David?
Hey everyone, David Claffey, Lakeshore Drive. I think this is great. This is exactly what we should be investing in. I just had a quick question. Back of the napkin math says this is going to fund about 20 to 25 homes. How many ground up projects do we currently have annually in the city on average?
Very little.
I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, the bulk of the ones that we've had over the last couple of years have been sulfur fire rebuilds, but very small number of just new starts.
Okay, and then to follow that up, how would we proactively get this executed? How do we make sure every penny's spent? Because I think this is a great program. Is it right now just planning on being reactive as people come to build new homes? They go through the permit process and they're informed of this, or are we going to be doing outreach? Thank you.
I would assume we're going to do outreach, but you can add to that.
Yeah, I mean, if the council is behind this, we would put some type of marketing program together and try to get the word out. I mean, I think it should be relatively easy to generate some interest on this. We would talk directly with some of the larger employers that we know have problems with this type of thing, and make sure that they have literature on what the program's like. And so I mean, we haven't gone so far as to really develop a real, communications plan on this, but we would be, try to be aggressive in getting the word out. I don't know any community in the state of California that's doing anything like this right now.
Very exciting.
Did that answer your question, David?
Yes, thank you, Alan.
Are any other public comments?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I'll bring it back to council then. Councilman Burdock, did you have something, or
No, sir.
did I just mishear you? Okay, discussion?
How much money do we have in the series fund? B.
Should have double checked, but I think somewhere between, I think it's more like 2.5 million.
No, I mean, I think this is great. And if nobody else, there's no more discussion, I'll make the motion to adopt a Clearlake Homestead program with the changes of the 24 months and what was the other one?
One time.
But yeah, one time. I'd like to have that stipulated in the documentation.
So the existing job in Lake County that we deal with.
And then one other thing that the mayor brought up, just to clarify, was that we didn't put it in here, but that if it was a lot that required a well and septic system, that sort of an equivalent amount would be available to help offset those costs rather than the sewer and water connection fees.
Yes, I think that's, so all of those changes added into program.
I second council.
And Councilmember Overton, you kind of, I think, answered one of your concerns about whether they're going to just build a cliff or whatever.
Right. So,
Applicant has to have an existing job within the county or verified what they offer. So that kind of, I think, hopefully keeps it here. So, all right, so then the motion is to approve the homestead program with a caveat of a 24-month holding period and first-time buyer or owner only, one time only for this program. And was there another?
Like some language, you know,
about the septic or sewer wells.
Yeah, go ahead. Vice Mayor.
deals with, you know, if people are telecommuting at their offices in San Francisco, but they do the work here.
Right, because that is going to be, I think that, in other words, it can't be a vacation home. It has to be a home occupied. So that doesn't really matter if they telecommunicate, because we do.
We want folks that work in Clearlake to live in Clearlake.
Correct. But they may telecommute, and that's just the way it is.
I'm sure you can get some money.
Yeah. Okay, the motion's been made.
Second.
Yeah, motion's been made by Councilmember Overton and seconded by Councilmember Harris. You have a roll call, please.
I actually believe Councilmember Purdock seconded that motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you.
That's okay, because there was a lot of talking going on.
So,
I'm looking at our city clerk to make sure that she understands the motion.
Yes, I did get
who
that.
made the motion then?
I made the motion.
You seconded it?
Mr. Purdock.
All right, I guess my hearing went over your head. All right, the motion's been made by Councilmember Overton and seconded by Councilmember Purdock. As the motion as it's been suggested. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Overton,
Aye.
Councilmember Harris,
Aye.
Councilmember Purdock,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sutton,
Aye.
Mayor Kramer.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, we'll move on to item number.
Okay, there was a second recommendation.
Adoption. I'd like to make the motion to adopt resolution number 2020-43, amending number 4 to the fiscal year 2020-2021 adopted budget, approving $1 million for the Clearlake Homestead Program.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilmember Overton and seconded by Councilmember Purdock. We have a roll call on that, please.
Councilmember Overton,
Aye.
Councilmember Harris,
Aye.
Councilmember Purdock,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sutton,
Aye.
Mayor Kramer.
Aye. That motion also passed.
Mayor Kramer, if I could just briefly, Councilmember Overton asked about the balance in Series B funds, and I was off a little bit. Our interim finance director, White, said we currently have 2.4 million. So.
I thought it was around 2. So.
We'd like our finance director to know how much money.
Yes, if we sit right there, we have to get with your record.
Okay, item number 17, discussion and consideration of actions to facilitate the city's development for the former Pierce Field Airport property. Again, City Manager Flora.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. So it's a little depressing to do research on the history of this property, I have to admit, because I didn't realize exactly how far back discussions about doing this project went. But you know, just a little bit of background. The county closed the airport in 1994, and the city had been having discussions with the county about purchasing it for some time before that, but the redevelopment agency purchased it for $840,000, and that was funded through $180,000 of RDA funds and then a bank loan. That original purchase included 38.5 acres, of which 10 acres of that was sold off for the water park development in 1998. So this is a little bit of an unusual ask in that the city of Clearlake owns the property. But as part of the long-range management plan from the redevelopment agency wind down that happened in 2013, the Department of Finance approved transfer from the redevelopment agency to the city of this property for no cost, because the city argued that it was going to be utilized for public use, public works yard, and the fire department use of a small building there on site and so forth. But it also envisioned that there may be the intention for some private development in the future. And so it stated that if at such time the city wanted to stop using it for public use and sell it for development purposes or utilize it for development purposes, that there had to be a compensation agreement so that the taxing entities would receive some compensation for the property. And so we're not asking the council to approve a purchase of it necessarily. It's just a compensation agreement. We already own it. But according to the long-range management plan, there needs to be some compensation of the school district and the other taxing entities. So we believe that in order to actually make this project happen, we need to try and get creative on this and install the infrastructure at the site, water, sewer, and road infrastructure. And then the idea is, if the city has full control of the property, that we would move forward with a low or no cost ground lease to a development firm, which could then come in, build space to be leased out to tenants for retail development. But because the cost of the infrastructure and the cost of the land have sort of been eliminated from that transaction, it's going to bring that cost down and make it more attractive for development. So we do have, just point out that there's a couple of successful local businesses that we have been talking to that are interested potentially in this model. You know, we're not at a place now where we can really have firm numbers and whatnot. We need to take these other couple steps that we're recommending tonight to move forward on that. But you know, we're pretty optimistic that we could bring a couple of those local anchors in and then build out additional development around those at the site. And so the first part of the action would be to approve sort of this compensation agreement, which then has to go to the oversight board, the Lake County Redevelopment Agency Oversight Board, for final approval. But our recommendation is that the city maintain about 1.72 acres, the area where the animal shelter is, and the fire department, the building the fire department is using right there on Airport Road. So we consider that to be maintained for public use. It wouldn't be part of this sort of transaction or compensation agreement. The remainder of that, we're proposing an amount of $10,000 per acre be provided for compensation to the taxing entity. Now, this is an amount below what at some point could be considered market value. However, we've had some conversations with the Oversight Board previously in trying to figure out some plan that they have been agreeable to a proposal where it's a purchase price, even if it was to a private developer, would be reduced in order to sort of transfer some of the value into infrastructure on the site and making sure that that happens. So this is a little bit different model than what we had proposed before. We're proposing just sort of a smaller amount, and then we take on the commitment of installing the infrastructure. I think it will take some local funds to make that happen. We're also have had a number of conversations with the Economic Development Administration, and they have funds that are available for projects in opportunity zones, which this is, and also those that are recovering from disasters, which we obviously qualify for as well. And so we feel like there's a high likelihood that we can get the bulk of this funding from their infrastructure grant program. And we can get these first two steps moving forward, then we would immediately begin pursuing design work and acquisition of funding for that infrastructure, as well as sort of negotiation for trying to bring tenants in. Let's see. So that's kind of that piece of it. And then the second thing is identifying a development partner. You know, this is a lot of work. The city's taking a lot on to be able to pursue this and in order to make it happen, but we need an actual developer that's experienced with this. Now, we do have RAM Development Partners is a part of the retail strategies group that we've been contracting with for about a year now to attract retail here. They sometimes follow into cities where they have been working and they feel like that there's significant potential for retail development. So we talked to them about that. They're definitely very interested and willing to work with us. So what's before you is an MOU with them, which is basically their exclusive rights to negotiate and work on this project over the next 12 months. And so if the council authorizes me to execute this agreement with them, we would begin working on sort of master planning the site, doing due diligence, working up some potential pro formas and that type of thing, so that we can talk with some of these retailers that we hope to attract. So, and then of course, the final piece of that, the goal would be that within that 12-month period, we would actually enter into a development agreement with this group, or it could be potentially someone else. What we could do within the 12-month period, but so that we could actually move forward with the project. So that's kind of the overview. Hopefully I haven't left out too many items, but happy to try to address any questions you have.
Okay, questions? Let's start with Councilmember Furlong.
Not at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Pretty straightforward. Councilmember Overton?
Okay, so just trying to do this a little fast for me, so, and I'm not Mr. Sleeping over here. So our share that we're gonna be paying out we're gonna pay for $10,000 per acre to the redevelopment agency, basically all the people that are involved in that, correct? And then that's gonna come to us, the property, or, I mean, that's all we're paying out right now?
Yeah, so we already have the property, but in order to, the Department of Finance could come in if we didn't do some type of compensation, or we just started and we didn't have approval of the oversight board, then we would be potentially in trouble with them on being consistent with the long range management plan. So the $10,000 an acre would go, if approved by the council and the oversight board, would go to the county auditor, and then they would distribute it to all the taxing entities that are eligible. So including us. But if you look at the agreement, what we're proposing is, I mean, we could, if they want, pay the money and then, get our amount back, which is about 15%.
Yeah.
The way we have it laid out is we just have the calculation based so that we would pay, actually, it's just over $200,000, because otherwise that 40,000 roughly would come back to us. We would just take ours out from the top and not have to cycle it through. But
I thought that's what it was, but I just wanted to make sure that.
So just so you know, I mean, actually, the school district is the largest receiver of this, which is almost 50% of the funds would go to Connecticut School District. like Woodland College would get a percentage, the Office of Education. The county general fund actually receives a small amount. We're actually going to ask if the county would be willing to waive their amount, because technically they were already paid for the property in the 90s, but so anyway, we'll see how those details work out, but that's the way it's set up.
Right, thank you for just kind of clarifying in case others,
So you have a question?
No, I think this is another part of getting something going over there, so I'm all for it.
And I have no questions. I'm pretty comfortable with what you've come up with. Is there any public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor, there's no public comment.
Thank you, City Clerk Swanson. So we'll bring it back for discussion and action. Or any discussion? If we're all ready to go forward, and I'll entertain a motion first on number 1, adopt resolution number 2020-44, and then we'll go on to number 2, the MOU.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 2020-44, setting forth disposition plans for the airport property consistent with the long-range property management plan, and authorizing the city manager to sign compensation agreement with the Lake County Redevelopment Agency Oversight Board.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made by Councilmember Harris and seconded by Vice Mayor Flood. And we have a roll call from City Clerk.
Councilmember Overton. Aye. Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Purdock.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Slutin.
Aye.
Mayor Kramer.
Aye. Motion passes. Now we'll move on.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve MOU with Grand Development Partners and authorize the city manager to sign.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilmember Harris and seconded by Councilmember Purdock. Again, we have a roll call now.
Councilmember Purdock.
Aye.
Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Overton.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Slutin.
Aye.
Mayor Kramer.
Aye. Motion passes. I want to take a very short break to be able to retrieve something from the
I'll go
office.
get it.
We'll retrieve it. Okay, let's move on to reports. City manager, could you please give us your report?
Sure, a few items. Did want to make sure and update the council. You've probably seen some things, press releases and information out over the last few days, but related to COVID and our current tier in the state plan. There has been a significant outbreak of cases over the last few weeks, and our statistics currently push us down into the purple tier, the most restrictive tier. Public health lobbying has granted us a 1-week reprieve from that happening. And so we'll find out for sure next Tuesday on whether we're moving tiers or not. We've been putting a lot of effort into trying and lobbying the state on why they think it makes sense for us to stay in the current tier for a little bit longer. But we'll see what happens. The good news is that since the time that pushed us over the threshold, our numbers have been going back down again. And so the hope is that the state will see that decline and keep us out of that purple tier. And just to give you a little bit of flavor, if we do move into that, there will be no more indoor dining, no indoor movie theater. Schools that are currently closed now won't be able to open until being back in our current red tier for 2 weeks. There is a 3-week minimum once you move into a tier. So anyway, there was a lot in the news about the outbreak in one of the nursing homes in particular. There's been few, if any, recent cases there again, so that seems to be under control. And again, the numbers are going down, but any information on what happens on that will be coming out next Tuesday. So hoping that we don't have any further restrictions on our local businesses.
Mr. City Manager, did those numbers, what week is that? Are they up to on those?
I think if you look at the site now, it's like the 19th of September or something like that.
13th is when it's pick up last week.
Okay. Okay, so just a couple other things. So we talked about this a little bit before, but we've kind of delayed. So we have a contract to do a sort of downtown revitalization plan. And we had an initial visit with some of the folks that are going to be working on that. We kind of pushed out. I think it's really important to have some type of community meeting about this. And I think at this point, we go ahead and try to move forward with that. So what we're planning on is October 13th, having a community meeting here in City Hall. We're going to determine how many people we can safely have in here, and we'll figure out some way that we can have, if it's 20 people participate in person, and then we'll provide the opportunity for folks to participate via Zoom. But without any end in sight here, I hate to just put all of our plans on hold. And so we're going to do our best to get community input on this.
What, October 13th?
October 13th, yes.
And so we thought about doing just like a walk through, like more outside. Nothing.
Well, you're happy to share your ideas with me later. I guess we probably shouldn't have a discussion about it, but there's been a lot of work happening on Austin Park. Our irrigation system, as you know, has been extremely frustrating to have running successfully for any period of time. The latest problem has been the water line was in too shallow of water, and the lower lake conditions and the quality of the water wasn't able to keep itself cleaned. And so we have extended that several hundred feet out into the lake into deeper water. So hopefully that's going to get us back going again. But just wanted to let the council know we have plans to re-hydroseed the lawn and whatnot. We're hoping to do it this month, and hopefully we still will be able to do it in October. But obviously a key part of that, and one of the reasons why the lawn looks the way it does already, is because of altering irrigation system. So hopefully we're almost at the end on that, but it's been a list of errors that were definitely unimaginable. The Mullen project is coming along on track for paving to start in a couple of weeks on that. So hoping to get that project wrapped up soon. The council approved recently utilizing HDL for TOT collection administration. That implementation is currently in process and will be live either in November 1st or December 1st. We're also utilizing HDL for all of our business license applications now. That part of it went live today. And then we will also be utilizing HDL for rental inspection program, as we've talked about before. And so we're working on getting the details on that, but we'll be bringing that for final approval of the council hopefully soon, but we want to wait until we get a couple of these other ones going before we dive into getting that one. And then final little technology pieces. You hopefully are already aware of this, but the county did prepare a GIS mapping application that shows all of the properties within Lake County that are eligible for tax sale. It shows the number of years they've been in default, the amount owed, and then also there's a separate layer that shows whether they've been ever offered for auction before. So it definitely is updated information from what we had mapped previously based on information about a year ago. So really glad that the county administrative office did put that together. I think it's definitely supportive of the message that we've been sharing and talking about, and encourage any members of the council or the public to go on and take a look. It's really easy to see the negative impact that situation's having on our city. So with that, that's my report.
Thank you. City Manager Flora. We'll move on to Councilmember Purdock.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have attended no meetings. I have nothing to report in that regard. But tomorrow, beginning with assistance of the Twin Pine Casino, Elijah House, Worldwide Healing Hands, and Adventist Clearlake will be offering a drive-through event for our community for fire relief and COVID-19 assistance. So for people who have been unable to come out because of the fire, the smoke, because of COVID shelter-in-place directives, we'll be providing many household items for free. And we're welcoming people to come to the Twin, if you're in the Middletown area, go to the Twin Pine Casino between noon and 3 p.m. And we'll have traffic coordination there, and you can just drive through and we'll hand you these products. And then on Saturday, October 3rd, and all of you are welcome to come down and participate, but again, between noon and 3, directly across from City Hall, across Lakeshore Drive at the Old Austin Resort parking area. We'll be doing the same type of event and giveaway. I've got some brochures, Joyce, if you want to take some. Everybody is welcome. Everybody's welcome to come through the line. And then last, I reported to the council previously, we do have our substance use navigator. I brought enough face masks for a few of us, for all of you to share, and as well as information. The program's working very well, and we're helping to get people to the help that they want to find. So it's really been a good program. And thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Purdock. Member Harris.
We have nothing of significant value.
Member Wilson.
Well, I went to a couple meetings in our marketing committee. I'm excited to say that we are working on getting our, I think our first fish should be done soon and in place. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a great asset to the city to have those different artists that are doing these. I'm excited to kind of start getting them out so people can see what we're doing with our city plans. Then we had I missed the trunk or treat meeting that I actually came in and got an update from Tina. Hopefully we don't go into that purple zone because I'm assuming if we do that's probably, so we're working on doing a trunk or treat for the kids. So that'll be over here at the park. So we're taking donations. You can donate it here at City Hall. You can donate it at the Chamber of Commerce, or you can donate it at the Senior Community Center, and just let us know that it's for the trunk or treat program. We need candy for these kids. So I plan that there's probably going to be a lot of kids. So let's make sure we get that out there. And then and then we'll be having the League of Cities first virtual meeting. I'm going to try to see how that's going to work. So I'll be attending that and voting for the city.
Thank you, Councilmember.
I brought candy.
Vice Mayor Slogan.
I have not attended any committee meetings. Really anything to report.
Okay. Well, I have several things. First thing, I put this up on the minister here. This is from Fishing League Worldwide. They had a tournament here last weekend, the Toyota Series tournament. 72 boats. It was a 3-day tournament, and then followed by a college level tournament and a high school level tournament on Sunday. This tournament came here. This is a partners, by the way, plaque that they gave us. Bruno Sabache and myself were out there Thursday morning bright and early for the kickoff. And the tournament came to us from Canacti Vista, who has canceled all their tournaments. We picked up several this year. And I think this represents a great opportunity for us to pick up a lot more going forward. I haven't seen the actual numbers, but I'm understanding that a 4-day tournament such as this, when they have a full load, which would have been 150 boats had there not been a COVID problem, has brought as much as $3 million to the community when you include the 4 days of pre-fishing plus the 4 days of the fishing tournament itself, lodging, meals, buying tackle, buying fuel, etc. So this is something that I think we really need to push going forward. I think it'll add that fishing part that Mr. McCune was saying we didn't think we'd have a chance to get. I think we do have a chance to get it, but we need to make them welcome however we can. I intend to do that. This morning, I had my second monthly meeting, Zoom meeting of mayors with Senator McGuire. And I specifically spoke to him about our the fire resilience that we need to gain here in Clearlake, how it impacts many things, including our homeless problem situation. And then also I asked him for an update on the 18th Avenue project. The 18th Avenue project apparently they have found at least one major developer that is very interested in making a proposal, although he couldn't be specific. I think that the city manager Flora is going to be meeting with him in a couple of weeks, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm excited about that as well. They brought up, we talked about CAL FIRE and grants that CAL FIRE grant that's been given to clerk. And it's being distributed around, and something possibly we might be able to get some help with on some of the overrun areas that we've talked about. And more on that later. And he is also, Senator McGuire is also going to be hosting a community coffee, which will include on October 7th. And I've got to get a time on that, what time it will specifically be. But it'll be a Zoom coffee, community coffee, so to speak. Chief White will be a speaker. Superintendent Salato will be a speaker. Supervisor Sabache will be speaking. I will be speaking. And perhaps City Manager Flora will be speaking at that. Something that when we get more information, we'll be putting it out. The topics will, of course, include fires, COVID, school projects, and whatever else the community wants to bring up, I'm assuming. One other thing, talking about fundraisers, Lower Lake Community Action Group is also doing a fundraiser drive-through dinner, which will replace the normal Oktoberfest dinner that's at their clubhouse in Lower Lake. It'll be obviously the Oktoberfest fare, bratwurst and everything that goes with that. The meal will be $20. It'll be on a drive-through basis from 5 to 7 p.m. at the park. And tickets are available at from several people, Mr. Mike Salver, Mike Dean, Jessica Cherno, and Michelle Cepeda at her business in Moreland. So that's about what I have. So, moving on to future agenda items. Councilmember Burke, do you have any?
I do. I'd like to see if there's consensus around a subject matter I've been asking for direction and see if we could have LAFCO address it. It's for potential of annexing both an eastern portion of our city or adding additional space for our city in C4 zoning right off of Old Highway 53 to the northeast. And also with us getting closer to resolution with PG&E and the sulfur fire devastation to the area to our northwest. There are property owners out there that are frustrated with the slow actions of the county, and I think we could help them out by bringing them into the city. So I'd like to know how to proceed with that with LAFCO. Well, I don't know if we need an action. I've been asking about it, asking for how do we progress, how do we move this forward, and getting no answers. So I thought this might be the opportunity to do that.
Well, I understand it, but we have to start with extending our square root. But that's an item that needs to go through the planning commission. Help me out on that.
But first off, I think before we go through all of that,
Right.
I think the discussion would be, do we want to even?
Do we want to do it?
forward? So, I mean, with something like that, so, I mean, we would need statistics on that, so. And I wouldn't want to go through a sphere of influence and all that stuff without knowing if we even want to, again.
Thank you.
What we want to. So,
Okay,
I don't like how that sounds.
we want a
Discussion item.
discussion item on that going forward. Sure. Anything else, Councilmember?
No.
Councilmember Harris? Councilmember Overton? Vice Mayor Sloat?
None.
Well, I'm going to bring up something that Councilmember Purdock brought up several weeks ago, and I haven't heard anything more on it. And that's the subject of concealed carry permits processing through the city. I'd like to see that on as an agenda item. Discussion of it. Featuring in a meeting coming up. I haven't heard anything since we brought it up before about it. Bringing it up again, and I'd like to see it go forward. Okay. So, in closing, I again want to thank everyone for taking the time to submit their comments, participated by Zoom, and those who are watching the meeting on YouTube. We would love to have you here. I would love to have you here, looking us in the eyes and us looking you in the eyes as we move forward. And perhaps we can do that to some extent here in the near future. Having said that, I will adjourn this meeting at 8:38 p.m.
Did?
Oh, yeah.